Hi, Sath here for another thrilling conversation with one of our patrons. Today, I am genuinely thrilled to bits to be joined by the ever-inspiring Lyssa Adkins. Lyssa, hi. How are you doing?
Hi, Saf. I'm really good.
Cool.
I'm thrilled to bits too.
Great. As we said before,
I love that.
we started that background. That's just amazing. It's like some sort of galaxy out of space.
Or like
So
being
cool.
inside of a geode, and I love that. I love that it's tiny and gigantic beyond imagining.
Super. Well, listen, Lyssa, thanks for joining. I was going to say it's truly great to have you here, and thanks for taking the time. Just to get us started, can you just give us a quick intro? People know your work, they know your book, we love it. But just for anyone who's not as familiar with your work, a quick intro and a little bit about your own Agile journey, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love it. So this year, 2020, marks an even split of my career. 14 years, the first 14 years as a plan-driven project manager and sort of climbing the ladder in that world. And the last 14 years as an Agilist, and specifically focused on helping people move into their full potential and alleviate the pain that they feel in their daily life in organizations, really through the role of and the discipline of Agile coaching and the different roles that do Agile coaching: Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, Agile managers, various names. And so that has been for the last, this whole time, really, up until now, has been that laser focus on that mission to equip the discipline of Agile coaching with the skills and know-how and beingness, and help a lot of people move into that. And now I've handed off that mission to wonderful people who are sort of carrying that forward. And I'm focused on leadership teams because my goal is still the same: to alleviate pain in organizations and to help people move into their full potential, especially now, because I think we need it now more than ever. Yeah. And I noticed that the quality of decision making on the planet is not as high as I would like it to be. And so I'm enjoying working with leadership teams in particular, because their decisions have such impact and import. But in general, I'm really wanting to help us move into greater connection and cleaner and more holistic decision making.
Of that greater connection. That's come up a few times when we've been having these conversations, and that's something we are really trying to advocate for in Agile20Reflect, bringing people together, connecting people. That power and importance and connection, as a builder of communities myself and the work I do in Scotland, is such a powerful tool for us to kind of leverage effectively. Brilliant, loved that. So the obvious next question, and we are obviously delighted that you've agreed to join us as a patron. No, it's not. But
I'm so excited! I can't wait to hear what it is.
It will be in a second. Why did you agree to kind of get involved and support us as a patron of Agile20Reflect?
Well, I was really taken by the values that you all have already published about this event, and I'm very taken by the notion that we are going to stop for a moment and celebrate. Yeah. And that we have climbed very far up the mountain in the last 20 years, and now we get to look out over this beautiful vista together. And so the fact that these are all, translocal events happening all over the planet in the month for Agile20Reflect, I'm just really excited about that network feel and how strong that feels to me. And also it's a bit of a test of, I think, where we're headed. I think that the big issues of our day are going to be handled by networks of networks. And so you're sort of an early pioneer, I think, in activating one such network around Agilists all over the globe, which really excites me.
No, and I think what we're trying to do here, and I can't take any personal credit for it, there's so many involved, and everybody's got such amazing energy and enthusiasm for what we're doing. It is great, and you're right. There's this feel that look, we can stop, take stock, celebrate what's already been, all that's good about it, and then take the time to go, where could we go from here? Where should we go from here? What might that look like? And I think that's a big part of what we're trying to do, but do it collectively. Bring everyone together. Everyone's got a voice, and give everybody the opportunity to contribute to that and participate in that. And I think that's what kind of, excites us, So, no, thanks for that. That was brilliant to hear your thoughts there. So, it kind of goes without saying, but, you've made huge contributions to the Agile community and the industry, especially around your work in supporting the emergence of Agile coaching as a profession.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can ask you, can you give me 5 words around what Agile means to you?
Oh, can I make it a 5-word story?
Wow, that would be very impressive and creative.
I don't know if I'm going to.
You can do that.
What Agile means to me, is that our topic?
Yeah. What does Agile mean? 5 words.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm all ears. I can't wait.
Agile, emergent response to complexity.
Oh, wow. I think you just knocked that right out of the park.
Well, it's not like I haven't thought about it before. I mean, that has been a huge theme that I've been thinking about lately. So why, I've been musing on why did Agile arrive on the planet right now? How and why did it grow as big as it did in the last 20 years? And what are we up to as a human species right now? And basically, we're up to dealing with complexity without trying to dumb it down or ignore it or sort of wrestle it to the ground. And Agile helps us do that. And so I had a bit of a head start, but it was a bit of a challenge to get it into 5 words, I have to say.
No, I think you did brilliantly. I'm impressed. So just building on that, then we touched on your journey and your contributions to sort of supporting the profession, and obviously a lot of your work has been to help emphasize and kind of promote sort of women's voices in the industry over the years. And again, all credit to you for that, and we're very grateful. Can you talk a little bit more about, is it 10 Women Strong? Have I got that right?
Sure, I'm happy to. 10 women.
And other related programs, what are those about, and what inspires you?
Right. So 10 Women Strong is part of the overall movement called Women in Agile. So, much like the Agile20Reflect idea of all of these networked events and related to one another, Women in Agile started as a hashtag Women in Agile. And before we knew it, there were events that started to get created over time. There are local Women in Agile chapters in so many cities all over the world. And then people like me started finding things that we thought were useful to bring into the Agile world. And for me, I really just wanted to help women clear whatever is in their way that has them hold their voice back. And it was sort of just, happenstance in a certain way that I was on the phone with my friend, Carolyn Dragon. We were chit-chatting, and she was telling me about this program she has called 10 Women Strong. And she's had it for a few years at this point, and she was telling me about the amazing effects of it inside of a corporate client that she was doing it with, and how, everyone in the organization is saying, my gosh, where did these women come from? They're like, man, they've been in the organization for 10 years, and now all of a sudden we're seeing their brilliance and we're seeing their contribution, and they're showing up in different ways. They're showing up in new creative ways that, wow, like they have an authentic voice that we're now hearing for the first time. And I think that happens to a lot of people, not only women, but the 10 Women Strong programs focus on women's voices in particular. And so she was telling me about this, and I, before I even knew it, out of my mouth came the words, oh my gosh, we need this for Women in Agile. Because I had noticed over time that even though there are plenty of people who identify as female in the Agile community, and plenty of people who have access to those yin leadership energies in the Agile community. If you ask people who are the thought leaders, you get a bunch of men's names. And there's nothing, I honor those contributions. And at the same time, I'm wondering, like, so if there's so many of us, why aren't more of us thought of that way? And so that's why 10 Women Strong. So what we work on in those programs is helping women clear the internal barriers that have them hold themselves back. And that is only part of the story, because there are plenty of exterior barriers that hold women's voices back too. And there are initiatives being carried out by the Women in Agile org right now to help clear some of those.
Well, the second part of my question, that was brilliant. So I think I teased it out there, but just to be very kind of explicit about it, personally, the inspiration for you comes from, what is it that really sort of does inspire you personally? What are you inspired by?
This is going to sound strange, and I'm inspired by pain. I'm inspired by noticing how much pain people are in and asking myself the question, could it be different? And if we are these precious human beings, which I believe we are, why in the world are we spending so much of our lives working in organizations that have us shrink, have us become less of who we authentically and truly are? And the Agile movement in general goes a long way toward having people show up wholehearted and creative.
Absolutely.
And it's not, the Agile movement itself doesn't guarantee that happens or it's going to remain that way. So as I look out, it's so funny, you were talking about the Coaching Agile Teams book. So many of those sentences I wrote in the negative, and my husband was the copy editor for the book, and he was like, honey, I don't think you want all of these sentences to be in the negative. Like, maybe just reverse a few of them to the positive. Like, he's like, what do you want? Don't tell me what you don't want. Tell me what you want. And so that's actually a practice for me, is to flip it around and really ask myself the question, what do I want? And I just got really clear just a couple months ago, actually, about what I really want for the next 10 or so years of my career. And it is to help support and help emerge a thriving, sustainable, and just human presence on the planet. That's what I want.
That's, I'm a bit blown away by that, I'm going to lie to you.
Well, Agile is a huge piece of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when we do Agile well, we are people who show up in a way that can make forward momentum without sacrificing people and planet.
Brilliant. I love that. Just before we move on, you kind of reminded me, and I am a massive fan of your book. I remember when I first read it, and I do come back to it time and time again, but the chapter, I think it's 13, it's kind of quite near the end, where you've got different people's stories around their own journeys. I remember way back kind of drawing up my own one, and I do a lot of sort of visual sort of storytelling stuff now, but I didn't do as much of it back then, but I just loved that chapter. And I remember Daniel Mezik's one, but his kind of take on Shuhari, and I never kind of really forgot it. And he finishes with that whole idea of, the more you kind of learn, the more you kind of realize how much you don't know. And he doesn't, he doesn't word it like that, but that's kind of what he means, and it's just brilliant. Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm so glad you were inspired by that, and in particular by Dan's story.
Yeah, I think a lot of them were good, but that just the way he described that kind of always resonated with me, and I never really forgot it. So that's really cool. Beautiful. No, thank you for that.
Do you know that I just recorded the audiobook, so I got to read those words just recently?
Yeah, no, I commented. Ago. Yeah, and I remember, I think I commented on one of your threads on LinkedIn, just about how excited I was that you were doing that.
I would love to see people.
Is that available now? Is it?
Soon.
Soon,
Audible,
right, okay.
Audible is doing its thing. We don't know when it's going to come out, but it could be any week now. I'm hoping really soon.
Okay.
Yeah,
More excitement.
I would love for Dan and other people to update their journey lines. That would be fun.
That would be cool. That would be very cool. No, thanks for that. Right. So we've heard a lot about, the sort of professional journey, your contributions to the industry. Be nice to step away from that for a second and maybe do something a little bit more kind of off-piste, as it were. So have you got a kind of great book you've read recently that you would recommend? And, what did you enjoy about it? Oh, is it? You got one to hand, have you?
Well, I have two.
Cool.
I have a business one, but a personal one just came to mind.
Nice.
So I want to tell you about both of them. I'm trying to remember the title of the other one.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember saying you could have two.
Too bad. You're going to get two. Okay, so here's the one I think is so important for people in business or just in life in general. And it's an old book. I mean, it is an old book, but it is still good. I just finished it last night. It's called Taming Your Gremlin by Rick Carson.
Taming Your Gremlin.
Taming Your Gremlin. So basically, it's kind of along the same theme we were talking about with 10 Women Strong. That there's all these internal things, all these limiting beliefs we tell ourselves about why we can't do something, why we can't have something. And as I work more and more inside of organizations and with teams, from delivery teams to leadership teams, I see it again and again. There are all these conversations that need to happen to move the organization forward and into a better future. And there are all these people just holding themselves back from having the conversation. So Taming Your Gremlin, I think, is like, if people could do that, and that book makes it so easy and fun. It has these really funky illustrations in it, and it's like a bit of a workbook. I love it.
My favorite kind of book.
Yeah, I mean, it's only about, this big. I mean, it's not a big book. It's lovely.
150 pages or something.
Not even 100 pages.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
And the other thing I would say is that I am on a tear reading this particular author. And so anything by her, I would suggest. Her name is N.K. Jemisin, Jemison. The one I'm reading right now is called The City We Became. But all of her books are amazing. She's a very contemporary writer. She has me look at issues of race and gender and ability and just community in a very different way, in these really amazing narratives that I'm just so sucked into the story and the characters, and then whap, I get smacked in the face with, oh my gosh, that's a new way to look at that, or that's a new idea that I can apply to my life.
Yeah. Well, that's brilliant. Two great recommendations. I'm sure people will be getting onto Amazon to grab those ebooks. Well, I suspect the older ones perhaps not available in ebook, but
used bookstores. I am so into used bookstores these days, and you can order almost any book online now, and I really want to support used bookstores.
Brilliant.
So try that.
Fantastic. That sounds great. No, thanks for that. That was really great to hear your thoughts. Just to close us out then, we'll settle in the questions. We'll get some closing thoughts from you. Agile20Reflect, what outcomes would you like to see come out of the month-long festival celebrating the 20 years, but also looking forward, as we touched on earlier? What outcomes would you like to see?
I'd like to see us not move toward the future too fast. I would like us to actually allow ourselves to celebrate and sort of immerse ourselves in that joy and muck around in it a bit, and really express our gratitude to one another for what we've been able to accomplish for ourselves and our organizations and the world. I think it's easy just to move on to the next thing. I think that I say this often, that we don't have as much capacity for joy as we do for other states. And so if we could just expand our joy capacity a bit and allow ourselves to stay there a little bit longer, who knows? I mean, like a whole new idea might come out of that, versus the question of what's next and what to correct and what to amplify and what to get rid of. And, like all of that is a very well-worn pathway. What if something amazing comes out of our global connection, our global celebration, and our global elevation of joy.
Yeah, no, that is wonderful, truly wonderful. Yeah, and I think we should take that opportunity, and the platform is there to give us those opportunities. But as you say, we should seize them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. No, that's brilliant. No, thank you. I'm grateful just to hear it. If I'm honest with you, yeah, and that was all I was going to ask you. Any closing final thoughts before I kind of wrap it up? Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I've been thinking about the Agile Manifesto, not surprisingly, right? Because this is one of the things that spurred us on.
Yeah.
And I want us to really look at it and to ask ourselves the question, have we valued these things over that thing?
Yeah.
Have we actually done it?
Have we actually done that?
And don't move away from it too fast if we haven't. 20 years is not a long time to make the kind of gigantic shift that we are trying to make in the way businesses work and in the way we work with uncertainty and ambiguity and complexity and unwanted change. 20 years is not a long time.
Yeah.
We might still have a ways to go yet. And so this might be a stop to get bread for our journey more than it is a stop to reorganize everything and ignore the fact that we're not there yet.
Oh, no, I think you're spot on. Yeah, I mean, when we're all working in the large complex organizations that are still very traditional in their ways of working, it can be extremely difficult to affect any real change, especially adopting agile ways of working. I think you're right. Wow, that was brilliant. Fantastic. Listen, Lyssa, it's been an absolute delight speaking with you. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. This has been a great, I don't know how long we've been now, 30 minutes for me to finally meet you and chat to you and then hear your thoughts and insights. And I look forward to you joining me in February for the Future of Work in Scotland event that we've got, that you've kindly agreed to support us with and be a panelist. And in that very event, which is the first of the programme of events, was first to be registered for the festival, is very much a look at the future. So I very much look forward to hearing more of your thoughts, and all those who've already signed up, I'm sure, are very keen to do likewise. So thank you again for your time.
You're welcome.
Really enjoyed it. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I've learned a lot from the last few questions that you've asked in particular. So thank you.
Yeah, great. Appreciate that. Really enjoyed that. Thanks. And that, folks, was the ever-inspiring Lyssa Adkins. There'll be more in the series of Meet the Patrons. So look out for those over the coming weeks. And if you do want to get involved, go onto the site. The website address is just above my head. Take a look. There's numerous ways that you can get involved, contribute, participate. Do please take a look, and we hope you'll get involved and help us celebrate and have some fun, as Lyssa said, and look at all that we've accomplished over the last 20 years and where might we possibly go in the future. But we'll take our time in doing so, as Lyssa says. Thanks again. Catch you soon.